Doo-doo-dee. It's Nandi!
Hello friends. I'm sorry to bombard you with so many videos this week, but when it rains, it pours, and there is a lot to discuss about this patch. You may have noticed that I've been shying away from Datamines videos in recent history, but I'm back today because I know that the legendary release events are a high point in the Tacticus calendar. The Patrmine has been datamined, or in other words, the Genestealer Patriarch. I'll henceforth just refer to it as the Patriarch. People want to know what the legendary requirements are so that they can start building characters accordingly as early as possible. We can dive into these datamines with the caveat that this is all subject to change and only as reliable as a datamine can be. The datamines tell us that the Patrmine is a Genestealer Patriarch with 4 traits: Infiltrate, Synapse, Terrifying, and Unstoppable. It has a movement speed of 3 and a 5-hit melee eviscerating attack. The stats here are mined at Diamond 3. These stats put the Patriarch at the 74th centile for health and the 16th centile for armor. Its melee damage is on the 67th centile versus 0 armor and 89th centile versus infinite armor. For the Patriarch's active ability, the datamines suggest that this ability deals 5 hits of psychic damage to an adjacent enemy and then summons Purestrain Genestealers on each adjacent decoy. These Genestealers can immediately attack in melee but cannot move. The ability damage here does not appear to be modifiable. The passive ability is called Cosmic Horror. When the Patriarch defeats an enemy, it places a decoy on its hex. Other enemies surrounding the defeated unit have a chance to be suppressed and a chance to trigger battle fatigue if they have it. When the Patriarch moves onto a decoy, it appears to heal itself. There isn't much information about what a decoy is in the Patriarch's datamine, but it appears that the other character, the Magus, will also be able to create these decoys, again based on the datamines. I don't want to spoil too much about the Magus' kit, because if everything goes according to plan, you'll have a proper showcase video in 1 week with Snowprint's official blessing. As the Purestrain Genestealer is mentioned in the Patriarch's active ability, I thought I would show you what the mines say about them. There is no information about the Genestealer's traits, nor the damage that they do, however the stats at level 50 are on screen. Leading on from the legendary Patriarch, the obvious question is, how does one unlock him? I have included the datamined traits and track requirements for your perusal here. For Alpha, we fight against the Orcs, for Beta, we fight against the Black Templars, and for Gamma, we fight against the Black Legion. These enemies are all familiar to us from previous legendary release events. Feel free to pause and take notes of these requirements here if you wish, but I also have my usual Google Sheet for your use. The infographic on this slide shows you which characters will score you the most points in this event. Although, for example, you can see that characters like Athana score many points, the best legendary release characters are either tanks, healers, or summoners. So, just because a character scores many points doesn't necessarily mean they're the best pick to level up for the event. I've also included a link in the video description to a Google Sheet made with the help of Tawan, Tacticus ambassador and friend, which you can copy and adapt based on your roster. It's simple, no frills, and for some it's enough. There is also the Tacticus Planner web app, which requires you to input your roster, but it has a much more powerful website that lets you filter and sort your characters, not just for this legendary release event, but for other game modes too. Assuming the datamines are correct, then I've made some recommendations for characters to build for the various tracks. For Alpha, I would pair Melee and Bolter together and try and find a strategy around Isabella healing the tankier units. For Mechanical and maximum 4 hits, I think that the AdMech combination of Actus and Tangita should be able to create an army of summons to carry you through. Investment in these 2 characters is worthwhile as they also form the cornerstone of the Mechanical Raid team. Tangita is also excellent for the physical track, but without Actus you're best pairing him with another summoner like Matineo and a tank like Tyrant Guard. For Beta, I would pair the power, melee, and no summon tracks together and try and use the chaos trio here. Whenever I've seen power and melee together, this has been my go-to team, and I think that they will excel here again. For maximum 2 hits, there aren't many great options. Show is excellent, and Tyrant Guard is fine, but less valuable without a healer. You could try the new boss Gulgorts here, who can summon orc boys to clog the battlefield, and also has a passive that allows multiple kills per round. For the flying track, I would combine Revas and Aleph Null. Winged Prime is nice to have too if you have the character built. For Gamma, I start with Piercing and no Overwatch, so I reuse one of the teams from Beta. This time, we add Incisus as a reasonable healer to keep the Tyrant Guard tank wall up, while Show stands at the back and picks off the enemies. For the minimum 4 hits and no Final Vengeance combination, I suggest reusing Revas and Aleph Null as the two complement each other well. Bellator can also bring a bunch of summons to the battlefield as a third option. The power track completes the legendary release event, and the options are limited for healers and summoners. The trio I have recommended here are reasonable options, but I expect this track to be quite challenging. I'll maybe sign off there. If you are a Patreon for the channel, this video will have released for you a couple of hours before the masses. Thank you so much for your support and for giving me a platform to keep doing this. If you are in a position to consider subscribing to me, I'd really appreciate it. If not, I've entered the referral code for the chief data miner who gives me all of this information. Entering his code supports me and allows me to continue doing this sort of content if that's something you're interested in the future. That's all I've got for just now. Take care, bye.
Doo-doo-dee. It's Nandi!